in remarks of his own earlier today via a virtual press conference. You heard from Congressman Collins, the Republican. Now we're going to play for you in full the Democrat, Jon Ossoff's remarks right now.
It's now been 2 full weeks since CNN revealed Congressman Mike Collins' close ties to a prominent neo-Nazi. And CNN reported that Mike Collins' trucking company appears to have hired this prominent neo-Nazi to produce content promoting the company. It's now been 2 full weeks that Congressman Mike Collins has refused to answer how much he or his business paid this neo-Nazi. I know many of you have asked the congressman, and he's refused to answer, and it's unacceptable. Furthermore, we learned in recent weeks that the congressman's office had been briefing some of the nation's most notorious white supremacists on its efforts on behalf of a Holocaust denier. Again, this is not allegation, this is reported fact. Congressman Mike Collins' office was briefing some of the most notorious white supremacists in America on its efforts on behalf of a Holocaust denier. So let me be very clear about my message today. Congressman Mike Collins needs to answer these questions. Will he apologize for his office's documented ties to prominent white supremacists? Will he release in full every single text message, email, or other communication between his office and these prominent white supremacists? And will he ever answer whether he or his business paid this neo-Nazi for his services? Again, let me be very clear about the message today. It's been 2 weeks since CNN reported that this neo-Nazi was producing promotional materials for Mike Collins' business, and 2 weeks that the congressman has refused to answer whether he or his business paid this neo-Nazi. And we've also learned that the congressman's office was briefing some of the nation's most notorious white supremacists on its efforts on behalf of a Holocaust denier. The congressman needs to hold a press conference today. He needs to apologize for his office's ties to white supremacists. He needs to release every single email, text message, and communication between his office and these white supremacists. And he needs to finally answer the question you've all been asking him for 2 weeks and that he's refused to answer, which is how much did he or his businesses pay this neo-Nazi for his services? Thank you all so much for your time and looking forward to your questions.
All right, everyone. If you could use the raise hand function or drop your questions in the chat, I will call on you as they come in. Let's start off with Greg from the AJC.
Hey, Greg.
Hey, Senator, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
I'm on the road, so apologies for the connection. But I want to ask you about something else that's happening this morning. Congressman Collins is outlining his healthcare policy down in Middle Georgia. I'm not sure what he's going to exactly say, but I'm guessing that Medicaid expansion will not be part of it. I'm curious from your perspective, is any healthcare access policy in Georgia incomplete if it doesn't include Medicaid expansion?
Greg and everybody, just listen to what those nurses up in Livonia at St. Mary's Hospital said yesterday. Listen to what those nurses said yesterday. That hospital is shutting down its birthing unit, citing the Medicaid cuts that Mike Collins voted for. He voted for the largest Medicaid cut in American history and to double health insurance premiums for more than 1 million Georgians. And today he shows up at a rural hospital. Listen to what those nurses said about Mike Collins' votes yesterday. And Greg, of course, we cannot solve the health emergency in Georgia without Medicaid expansion. But let me be very clear. Congressman Mike Collins voted for the largest Medicaid cut in history. He voted to double health insurance premiums for more than 1 million Georgians. And he needs to answer for his well-documented ties to neo-Nazis and white supremacists.
All right. I am not currently seeing any more questions. I'll give it a second in the chat, or if anybody wants to use the raise your hand function.
Stephen, while we wait, and I see Chuck is there. We'll see if Chuck has a question. But while we wait, let me
Can't
just
get it all at one store. You got to run around to a bunch.
let me just make this final point if folks don't have another question. I know you all have been asking the congressman this question for 2 weeks. Has he paid? Has his business paid this neo-Nazi? If not, why did the neo-Nazi do this work for his company? Did he know that the man his business retained was a neo-Nazi? Will he apologize for his office's ties to white supremacists? Will he release every communication between his office and these white supremacists? And he won't answer the question. And I respectfully submit to you as members of the press that Georgians deserve to know the answers to these questions from a man who sits in Congress and now seeks a 6-year term in the U.S. Senate. As he seeks a 6-year term in the U.S. Senate, he refuses to answer how much his business paid a neo-Nazi. So again, let me reiterate the questions for the congressman today, because I know he's going to get out there and try to cover up his record on health care, where he voted for the largest Medicaid cut in history, and he voted to double health insurance premiums for more than 1 million Georgians. Again, just listen to those nurses up in Livonia yesterday. Heartbreaking testimony. But while you're there, he needs to be asked if he will release every single text message and email between his office and these notorious white supremacists, how much he or his business paid this neo-Nazi, and whether he'll apologize for all of this disgraceful misconduct. Thank you all so much for your time this morning.